Hey everybody, this is a quick disclaimer for the video you're about to watch about Hydra. I had a viewer point out, and rightfully so, that I made the mistake of referring to provoke as taunt. In my brain, I come from the World of Warcraft universe, and so whenever I see that symbol for provoke, it was for me it was taunt. And then obviously they introduced the taunt mechanic more very recently in the game, and I tend to get those confused. So just for clarity, for the video that you're about to watch, whenever I'm saying taunt, I'm actually meaning provoke. So I hope that clears things up, and enjoy the video.
Shoot him, Kevin!
Hello, everybody. It's Roadblock here. We are on the main account right now. So I had this comment in one of my videos recently, and I wanted to address it. So Boarhead 8881, sorry, said Happy Holidays Roadblock. I was wondering if we could see some content on your main account. I've been working on Hydra recently and would love to see how a high-end team works. Now, I had been talking about and kind of mentally preparing to make a Hydra video. Now, part of me wants to make like a comprehensive guide. I've made comprehensive guides on Clan Boss before, basically saying, hey, this is why Clan Boss is great. This is what you need to go for Clan Boss, all those things. Concepts behind teams and stuff like that. I don't, here's my thing. I'm not as confident in my ability to do Hydra. I am able to get a big score as I don't think I'll be able to go through show you guys my entire score in this video, but I am usually able to get a pretty high score in Hydra and on the highest difficulty on Brutal. However, a big portion of that is probably because I'm getting carried by my champions. I happen to have an Acrizia, um, that's right out the gate. I happen to have a Molly Tankard who's great for it. Um, a Lady Kimmy. Yes, there are champions I don't have that I would love, like Nekamo Thar, for example. But I have some of the best champions for Hydra. Two Shamils. It took me forever to get my first Shamil, and now I have two. So there's a lot of champions that I have that other people may not have, and they honestly probably make up for a lot of the mistakes I tend to make. But I feel like I do have a well enough understanding of Hydra that I can relay a video. But I'm gonna tell you right now, I may read some stuff because I'm using resources right here on my other screen and be like, oh, I didn't know that. For example, I did not know that the duration of decapitation, which that's when you kill a head and you decapitate it, is based on the head's turn meter. It retains the turn meter the head had before you decapitated it. So you want to avoid decapitating heads that are at full turn meter. I didn't know that until I read that right here. That's something that I don't strategize around at all. Um, and so stuff like that, I feel like I'm going to learn a lot about by using these resources. So what I wanted to start with was kind of go over a brief rundown of Hydra, why it's important. But I want to put a grain of salt on everything that I say. This is by far the least area of expertise that I have. I'm able to find success. I feel like I know what I'm doing, but I'm less confident in that than I am other areas of the game where I feel confident to say you need to build these champions, you should be using these masteries, all that stuff, right? So, first things first, let's talk about Hydra and why it is important. So, Hydra rewards, if we look at the lowest possible chest, you'll see here that I have Mithrala already, but you get stone skin and protection gear is what you get from Hydra. We'll start there. We'll talk about Mithrala here in a second. So stone skin gear and protection gear. So protection gear gives you chances to place protected buffs. as well as extra stats per piece. This is a very interesting concept because something that I often forget about when I'm equipping a piece of protection or a piece of um, stone skin is that right out the gate it gives you stats per piece. So for the first piece that you put on, you're just getting an instant 20 resistance out of protection. If you're looking at stone skin, 8% HP. So sometimes if you're looking to build like a tanky champion, sometimes just one piece of stone skin you can throw on there and you're getting that HP out of it. So this, if you think about it, you kind of get 5 rolls on this. And this is just an outside the box way of thinking about it, but I have crit rate, defense, accuracy, attack, and 8% HP. You just imagine that being right down here. When you think about it like that, even just one piece of stone skin is extremely valuable because it brings that the extra stats. 8% HP is a lot too. So, likewise, as you add more pieces, then you're also gaining those benefits on top of what benefits that gear brings you. Now, the ultimate thing, stone skin, you've probably seen a lot or heard a lot of in Arena. Now, I have one champion who's completely in stone skin gear. That is my Mortu. He's only in the 4-piece. I would love to get him into 6 pieces of stone skin, but for what I need him to do, this amount of stone skin has been perfectly fine. I could, I think if I had better crit damage stone skin piece, which I now have, I've not had that before, I don't believe. If I look at equipped, yeah, I finally got a piece of stone skin crit damage gauntlets. These will likely be rolled to. I can't lose that crit rate. I'll need to make up 11% crit rate. And 17 on the chest. We're going off the rails here already. I do not believe, unless this was to roll really, really well, that I would be able to make up for the crit rate loss. And okay, yeah. So, I still won't be able to get him into full stone skin, but for right now, we do have him. You can also get stone skin accessories. You'll see that I don't have any stone skin accessories for the demon faction, which is where my Mortu is. So why do I have Mortu in stone skin? Well, that's a story for another video. But he's my only champion that I have in full stone skin gear. So he is getting that stone skin buff. The stone skin buff is very, very strong. I don't know exactly kind of how it works, but it reduces incoming damage massively. I mean, it makes characters impossible to kill. So I don't know, like I said, I don't know the exact kind of like way that it works, if it makes them weak hits or what, but stone skin, until it comes off the champion, is very, very hard to kill that champion. So I use stone skin on Mortu Macabre. I've used stone skin with other champions that I've eventually changed out of it because it's less valuable for PvE protection. Protected is a set that I'm less familiar with, and I want to start using more on some of my buffers, some of my support champions, because I would love to see some protected buffs coming out from them. Champions like the first one that comes to mind is Pythion. I'd love to see him in some protected gear, that kind of stuff. But the point is, the sets are very, very good. It's also used to be one of the only places you could get mythical gear. So the pieces had a chance to drop as a mythical artifact, which I don't remember any other way. Obviously, we have many ways to get mythical items now. But at the time, I don't remember any other way of getting mythical items in the game. This is months ago, almost probably a year ago. So really, really good gear. Now the other thing that you don't see here is Mithrala Lifebane fragments. So you are able to get a Mithrala Lifebane from doing Hydra. At the lowest chest, you have a chance of getting 1 to 2 fragments. So 2 being the best, obviously, right? As you go up in difficulty, you can gain more fragments, and that helps you get her faster. Mithrala herself is an amazing champion. I've gone over her in the past, so we'll kind of make this brief, but the thing I love most about her is that her accuracy, her resistance is equal to the amount of accuracy that she has. And she's a debuffer, so you want her to have a lot of accuracy, but then she also naturally gains a lot of resistance. You'll see that in effect against Clan Boss, or against Hydra here in a little bit. She has a cleanse with a shield and a big version of strengthen. She has a hex, which is vital to Hydra in particular, as well as bringing both increased defense and increased attack. 2 poisons on the A1, 100% chance when booked, with her damage being based on defense. In fact, I didn't even know that before. So I may want to change her. I have her in a lot of HP gear, but I may want to balance out a little bit more defense on there to get a little more damage out of her. But extremely good champion. So these are the reasons that Hydra is important to do. Now there's a new element that's been recently added, which is the Hydra Clash. Now the Hydra Clash is the only place that you can get the accessories for stone skin or protection, as well as mythical tomes and primal quartz, which is a way to get primal shards, or mythical books for your mythical champions if you happen to have any. I was just looking; I did not get any primal quartz. Brings me to the next point. Hydra refreshes every Wednesday, so it's a week-long event instead of a daily event like Clan Boss is. So you have a week to do it. A couple of restrictions that it has. Let me make sure there isn't anything else I want to talk about. Oh, the other benefits of it, you do get chances at Soul Stones, which is nice. You do get Clan Gold and Clan XP, which, for those of you that don't really know what that does, so as your clan ranks up, the clan shop, you gain more access. So we really want stage 13 because these 2 items are very, very good. And they do rotate. So this slot rotates with different items. Isn't there a way item pool? Here we go. So this is slot 9 and 10. So slot 9 can be a legendary book, epic book, killstroke gear, or the ore that it is right now. Slot 10 can be a void shard, a 4-star chicken, 1 day of XP, or a rank charm. Now, those are still fine items. They're just, obviously the books are really the best there. But stage 13 is really, really good. We are at level 12. We want level 13 for my clan. So gaining that clan XP by doing Hydra helps your clan level up faster. The clan gold can be used in the clan shop. Here you can buy fragments for 2 legendaries, Ivres and Yakarl, as well as these accessories. These are your counterattack accessories or your free refresh accessories. This is a great place to get them at. The other items that you'll see, I get the silver quite often. There are other items in here that are very, very good, should you need them on your account. So it's an area that so doing Hydra will benefit your clan should you be able to get one of the chests, as well as directly benefiting your account with a very good legendary champion that you will get over time and very good gear. So Hydra is something that you should do. Now, previously, once you got Mithrala and went into the late game and maybe you had all of the, or no, I mean, even then, to save time, once you hit the minimum, you could just end the run and be like, cool, I'm done. But now, because of Hydra Clash, that encourages you to hit higher scores so that you can generate large point values and possibly compete to get those extra items that I mentioned. Even more clan gold, more clan XP, and the accessories for stone skin and protection. As well as the other stuff, right? The tomes and the primal quartz. So Hydra's good. Bottom line. There's more reason to do it now than ever because of the bonuses that of Hydra Clash, and I do recommend that you do it. Now, on my free to play account, I'm only really able to get the novice chest. Maybe, I guess they're both novice chests, so there's really no difference between them. But you should still be doing it just for Mithrala alone. If you don't care about stone skin, if you don't care about protection gear, if you don't care about mythical tomes, if you don't care about all of the other things, you have to at least care about Mithrala. She is that good. Probably one of the best. I mean, I would put her top 5 for sure in my mind of champions in the game. We didn't even talk about her petrification debuff, but because this is a Hydra video, not a PvP video, we're going to focus on how she brings value to Hydra, but she does have an effect that will petrify opponents. You've probably experienced it yourself in Arena. It is frustrating to deal with, and it is fun to do to other champions. And it's gotten me through quite a bit of content. So having somebody with that high of a resist that has a full cleanse, any boss encounter, any enemy PvP team, whatever the case may be, she doesn't suffer the negative effects of debuffs, and then she can cleanse the debuffs off the rest of the team. I will probably be taking more breaks throughout this video to get a drink and such, because by its nature, this will be a much longer video. Now let's get into the heads and the concepts behind the heads. I'm going to drag this over here. So, Head of Torment. So, whenever you attack the Head of Torment, I'm going to tell you guys right now, they all have names. I don't know their names. I'm reading their names. I know them as the Fear Head, the Taunt Head, the Exploding Head. So I may refer to them differently when we start doing the gameplay, but for the purposes here, I'm going to call them what they are supposed to be called. So the Head of Torment, I call the Fear Head. Whenever you attack them, if you're not under Veil or Perfect Veil, you will get fear applied to you. It cannot be resisted, and it cannot be blocked by a block debuffs. Whenever the head is decapitated, those fears and true fears are removed from all the enemies. And anyone under those fears gets a perfect veil for 2 turns as well. The Head of Suffering is a tanky head. So this is the head that puts Reflect on themselves, and then I believe puts Ally Protection on the other heads. Reflect damage. When you decapitate it, place a shield buff on all enemies, so on your team, to equal to 30% of their max HP. The Head of Mischief, this is probably the most frustrating head. This head will steal the buffs off your team and then spread those buffs to the other heads. He'll target the ally with the most amount of buffs, even if they are veiled. And okay, and then if he's not under a hex buff, I knew this part. I just have to read what they're telling me here. If not under a hex buff and you go to attack this head, there's a percent chance, 75% chance, that you attack a different head, which can be very, very bad because there are heads that you don't want to attack, which we'll talk about here shortly. When you decapitate the Head of Mischief, it takes away the turn meter of all Hydra heads. Head of Blight, I call this the poison head. So The big things that this head does, it poisons your team, but also places a poison cloud on the other heads that automatically changes any incoming hit to a weak hit, unless they're under an HP burn. So one of the strategies you can do to counter the Head of Blight is to bring an AoE HP burner. However, you need to keep something in mind. And this is important because most of you may be using Artak as your AoE HP burner. Artak's AoE HP burn does not get applied on a weak hit. So you would need to place the burn before the Head of Blight places Poison Cloud. The other strategy to stop Poison Cloud is block debuffs. Because if he goes to place it, it just won't be placed. It is a protected buff, so you can't remove it once it's down. The only thing you can do once it's down is to place an HP burn. A good solution to this is Mordecai. Mordecai places HP burn on all the heads. It's not predicated on a critical or a strong hit. Therefore, you can do it through the poison cloud, and once it's applied, then you can start doing damage to those heads. When decapped, inflicts damage to all heads that are under HP burn when decapitated. Head of Wrath, this is what I call the exploding head. After you hit him and you get 15 stacks on the head, he explodes for a ton of damage. Ba, 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 ba. So you want him to be under decreased defense or have protections for your team. So for me, I like to build up a shield right before I go to pop him. And I try to pop him when I want to and not when I don't want to, if that makes sense. When decapitated, it inflicts damage to all heads. And then if this head is decapitated while under a vengeance buff, the damage inflicted to all heads increases, and there's a 25% chance of placing a leech debuff on all heads for 2 turns. Head of Decay. This is the taunt head. So why do I call him the taunt head? This head can be taunted. One of the few bosses in the game that can be taunted. So why do you want to taunt him? Well, when he's taunted, he won't do his full cleanse of his other heads and a life barrier. And a life barrier is a full cleanse and a shield that he applies to a champion. The life barrier, if you don't kill it, will fully heal the head that had life barrier on it. And what I mean by kill it, if you don't do enough damage to break the shield, it'll fully heal that champion. Also keep in mind, because he removes debuffs before placing the shield, block buffs doesn't matter here. Because he'll remove that debuff and then place the shield anyways. So you need to keep him taunted. Whenever this head is decapitated, heals all champions by 30% of their max HP and restores 50% of the max HP whose max HP has been decreased. I know there are some more elements of this because I haven't mentioned that the champions that decrease your max HP, which is a big factor in Hydra, and it can be quite a deterrent for teams that are looking to progress. There are counters to that as well. Which you'll see in the team that I employ. So we're going to get into my team now. That's a very rough outline. I highly recommend watching other content creators' videos, going to websites like How Hades, where I got all that information from, and to get the real, like, detailed information about it. I don't feel confident enough to, like, relay that information to you guys, because I don't want to speak like I'm all-knowing. I know that many of you enjoy my content and like watching my free-to-play series, but I want to be honest with you guys and say, like, I am not the best Hydra Clan Boss guy. I have to do it on manual. I'm probably carried by my champions, but you'll see kind of my strategy here, which is what was requested by Boarhead here. So that's why we're making this video. So I do brutal for my first key. This is for Hydra Clash purposes. Now I use, in my lead, I have Lady Kimmy. You'll notice that Lady Kimmy's aura does not apply here. Lady Kimmy is not my preferred lead. I would love Nekmothar here. Do not have Nekmothar, therefore Lady Kimmy is who I choose to go with. Mithrala, Acrizia, Molly, Ugo, and Shamil. I have 2 Shamils. I use my good Shamil here. My other Shamil is in my second team. So I'll explain why Lady Kimmy. I don't think we have the Fearhead to start here. We don't. So let me explain it then, because you may not get a chance to see it. So I put Lady Kimmy in the lead on this team because I want her to take a lot of turns. Lady Kimmy gives me turn meter boost and applies decreased speed on the heads. This is very important for the build that I'm going with, which is a very speed-oriented, fast build to keep the heads under control as much as possible. I need this speed to keep my Molly going very, very quickly so that she can keep her taunt up. I need her to go quickly so she can refresh the cooldown of her taunt and be able to apply it to the taunt head whenever that she can. Acrizia is just there to do damage. Mithrala is a cleanse, a shield, and a hex bringer. Ugo is my decreased defense and my block buffs. And Shamil completely counters the fear head. We didn't talk about this. I did talk about a head, as you recall, that is capable of fearing my whole team. Whenever an ally receives a fear or a true fear debuff from an enemy, this skill will instantly remove the debuff and fill the ally's turn meter by 15%. Here's the kicker. In Hydra, if that head, if Ugo, who's not my lead, attacks the fear head, that head will try to fear Ugo. Shamil's passive removes that fear, and it should give 15% turn meter to Ugo. That's not what it does. It gives it to the lead champion. It gives it to Lady Kimmy. I don't know if that's a bug or something they did by design to prevent cheesing or something like that, but that is how the mechanic works. That's why I have Lady Kimmy as my lead. She gives me turn meter on her A3, and she slows the enemy on her A2. She also has a chance with her A3 of stealing any buffs that get stolen by the Head of Mischief, as well as applying an extra block buffs should I need it when Ugo's not available. So that's kind of my strategy. Now, this strategy is meant to be all-encompassing because the other heads can show up later on, but it's most effective when the fear head is out at the very beginning of the fight, which it is not in this particular case. And that's my team. I have, because Shamil counterattacks every time someone places a debuff, I have him decreasing the defense of those champions with, which I can't remember, Cruelty. So I have him decreasing up to 10% of defense on each of the heads. All my legendaries are coming in with Brimstone because I don't have any of them that have very high blessings. They're all 1-star blessings, so the percentages and the way those play out, I want every opportunity I can to place a Brimstone proc. Ugo, who is my only healer, which this is a very risky team, by the way. It's high risk, high reward. Ugo is my healer, and because I need Ugo to restore my max HP, as well as gain a little bit of extra healing, I believe. I have Miracle Heal. So 50% chance to restore destroyed max HP when healing. It restores 10% of the heal. Now, her heal does 20% of her max HP. So we try to keep her as much HP as possible. And I have her in Relentless to go through her abilities and try and keep her debuffs up as much as possible. That includes both her leech and her block buffs. Now, this is all words. It may not make sense. Let's get into it, and I can kind of show you guys how this works. I may have better options, but this is the one on my. I may have better characters on my roster that would work in these scenarios better. Oftentimes, people suggest, I could do Mishinaki over Mithrala. However, I like Mithrala because she is Void and always lands her Hex. She also brings a cleanse and a really big shield that Mishinaki does not bring. And since I'm bringing Ugo, I don't need another decreased defense. And it leaves Mishinaki to go in my other team, my second team, where he can do all the things that he does that's great for Hydra. Bringing Hex, bringing decreased defense, bringing HP burn, and counterattacks. So I save him for hard, where I get where I could, if those hexes don't get applied, I still have survive. It's a little easier for me to survive on that difficulty. So right out the gate, I am going to start by applying decreased speed to all of them, as well as decreased accuracy. That's less relevant. Now I have my Molly fast enough to taunt. So her taunt is the A2. Now the way her taunt works, it's a 1-turn taunt, but there's a chance that it could be a 2-turn taunt. As you can see, I got lucky here and it's a 2-turn taunt. When that happens, that is the best case scenario, and I don't have to panic. When it doesn't happen, it can be a problem. Ugo places decreased defense as well as block buffs. When the poison head goes, that poison cloud is going to be blocked and not show up on any of my team. We bring out Hex. Now, Hex in this case is going to bring extra damage across the heads. Because of the way Hex works, a percentage of the damage gets applied to all the heads, but it's also there for when the head of Mischief does come out. Now comes the decision of what head do I want to take out first with this composition. The taunt head is the scariest one in this composition. And that's because there is a possibility that Molly isn't fast enough and won't get that taunt onto the head, cleansing all these buffs and spiraling out of control. So that's the head that I'm going to target first. I use this ability from Shamil because it does a lot of damage. It'll do more as the fight goes on, but that's a decent chunk for something that's not enemy max HP. And then, of course, Acrizia comes in with enemy max HP and does huge chunks across. Now, let's go over what just happened because a lot went down there. So this head, because it's taunted, attacked my team instead of removing all buffs from all heads and giving them turn meter. The poison head, whoops, I hate that. I hate that so much. The poison head placed a poison cloud on all of the heads, but it was blocked because of my Ugo. So that was close. So what happened there, that was the head exploding, as I call it. The timer went up to 15, and he did a ton of damage to my team. You'll see Shamil's already at half health. That all went down because I screwed up by accidentally clicking on the head and not clicking on the debuffs here. I am going to cleanse because I don't want the taunt anymore. I have a refresh amulet on my Acrizia, so she gets her big AoE hit back, which I want to do because it does a ton of damage. This is what I meant to do the turn before. This gives me turn meter, gives me speed, and gives me accuracy, which is what I want on all of my characters for this particular fight. Now, I do think my Molly could be built slightly better because her A1 hits surprisingly hard. She's built to land her, she's built to be quick and to land her taunt, but not so much to do damage, and that's something that I could improve on her build if I was to get the right gear to do so. I just don't quite have it on this account. This head, I know very little about. I know that he does the ally protect. Again, block buffs takes care of all of that. He does have a chance to provoke on certain enemies. The pain link, basically, as you do damage to him, whoever suffers the pain link will also take some damage. I've never really noticed it being a big problem. This increases resistance of all the heads and reduces what they take from AoE attacks and what they take from poisons. I think they all have this, that HP burns and certain HP, enemy max HP, yeah, Almighty Suffering. I think it is that. So there are limitations to what you can get out of HP percent base damage, but alright. So another big hit gonna come out of Acrizia here. So I have Molly's taunt up, but we still have a taunt on the head. So I don't want to use it yet. We're just gonna go punch. Now, Molly is also my only reviver in this. Should something go wrong and a champion die, Molly is the backup there. But sometimes I have to be mindful of how I use that. Because should a champion die, but I don't have the taunt buff, I have to taunt before I revive the champion. And again, this is a manual team that will take me about 45 minutes to an hour to get full completion out of. We're going to keep the Hex up. I did not have the cleanse there because I already used it. I can see the shield is still up. I managed to refresh this again. Acrizia is in Relentless gear, so she does get multiple turns. So now we no longer have the taunt on the head. However, I'm gonna be safe because once this head dies, I no longer need the taunt. So I would rather be safe and make sure that it's taunted than risk just going in for the damage and then getting the cleanse off. And we're gonna... that was a cleanse, mostly. Also putting a shield up just to give me some more survivability. So now you'll notice I am going to target everything I can at the head that is busted because you do more damage to the busted head. These are all the counterattacks that you get from Shamil because they place debuffs. Anytime an enemy places a debuff, he counterattacks. His basic attack, it cannot be critical on the counterattacks, but also the basic attack that he uses in that scenario has a chance to decrease the duration of a buff on the champion. We're going to go ahead and keep their speeds low. You'll see we have one tick here. Just doing big damage to the head that we can do damage to. And trying to do my best to be mindful of other factors and make sure that I'm aware of and preparing for them. So the taunt head has come back out. We do not want to target this head anymore because they are under this buff here, which I don't think I can find information on, but it reduces the damage you do to them by 75%. They can, however, still be debuffed, so you want to make sure that you're getting your debuffs on them, but you don't necessarily want to focus them down and target them like we've been doing thus far. So the next head that I'm going to target, I kind of want to pop this head soon because I have a shield coming up, but I don't have it yet, so I don't want to use a multi-hitter against him just yet. So I need a head to target. We're going to target the Poison Cloud head here now, just because it's close to being dead. I am going to put my taunt on. You'll see it's only the one turn version of taunt. So we need to start going quick here and getting speed out of my champions. I need Molly to go quickly. Now, the good news is that Molly does gain turn meter whenever she gets hit. I'm going to heal up with my Ugo. And we're just going to kind of do this stuff. Now, I have my shield. I'm going to put the shield out there. And now I'm going to intentionally pop this head. You'll see, in fact, this will be beneficial if I can pop the head. Molly will also gain turn meter and might be able to go before this dude. I don't have a decreased speed on him right now, so he is going quite fast. Yep. I think Molly gained enough turn meter from that. We'll go ahead and kill this head. You'll see it almost killed the other head. That was part of it. Molly got the turn meter. However, the cooldown is not up. I thought it only had one turn left. So, unfortunately, that's where we're at. So we do want to kill the decapitated head here. He's going to get his cleanse off. It's going to happen. It's hard for everything to kind of go perfectly. You'll see because of the Hex, I'm able to also get the damage across on him. This head had a lot more turn meter, right? So we're going to get this head down while we can. There's the full cleanse. He does not cleanse the decapitated heads, which is very valuable for us here because we happen to have two of them out. If his debuffs were on cooldown, I would not use Molly's taunt. But because he does still have the one cooldown, I am going to go back and taunt him again. It's only a one turn, so we do need to get some more speed out of the team so that we can taunt the head again. What we're hoping for is that the Fear Head will come out. There it is. This is what I call the Fear Head. Head of Torment. That's the passive. Anybody that hits it puts out Fear or True Fear. I'm going to use this ability to give my team some turn meter. And I'm going to use an AoE hit here. You see what Shamil just did? He attacked twice to the Fear Head. And you noticed that Lady Kimmy's turn meter went up. That's what I'm talking about. That's how you can manipulate this head to get turn meter to your lead. Now, because my lead is all about giving my team turn meter and slowing the enemy, this is the strategy that I employ. And boom, see, her turn meter just keeps going up. She is going to get so many more turns now. Here's the kicker. If you're going to manipulate this head, you don't want to kill it. So you kind of have to be careful about how you're doing damage and who you're hitting that head with. If you're hitting it with somebody that is designed to do a lot of damage, like I'm not going to have a Krizia target that head unless that head eats one of my champions. And we'll get to that here in a second. But if it's an Ugo or somebody that has a weak hit, like a weaker A1 hit, I will hit this head. So this is a dangerous situation right now. And the reason being that we don't have a block buffs out there right now. And the Poison Cloud head is back. And we have no other way of dealing with it. We did not bring an HP burner. So I am going to try and generate as much turn meter here as I can. We'll go with the cleanse. I don't normally do this, but they're under a protection buff anyways. So we're just trying to get that turn meter. That's good. We'll get some counterattacks, get some more turn meter out of this. Hopefully, I can go fast enough here, especially with this. So this is going to remove those buffs and put some block buffs out there. And then, thankfully, Ugo gets to go again and put her block buffs out. What we really want here, we'll talk about the decapped head in a second, is to make sure that Molly can go before the other head here. I kind of want to talk about Molly, but because of the scenario that I'm in, I have to talk about why I'm targeting this head now. So this head digested one of my enemies. I have to do as much damage as the green bar. So I'm going to take my biggest hitter here that's left. There we go. Molly gets to taunt. My biggest hitter other than Acrisia is Shamil. So Shamil we use to try and burn that down. We get the taunt. It's a 2-turn taunt. I can relax a little bit now, and we can take it easy. The great thing about bringing a lot of AoE hits, like the Lady Kimmy there, is that I just get to generate more fear off of a relatively weaker hit. Again, I am going to use Ugo's A1 here, because Ugo doesn't hit for a lot of damage, and I can get more turn meter out of this head. However, Lady Kimmy can kind of could potentially hit hard, so I am going to target the head that I want to pop, especially with my biggest damage dealer that's currently not eaten in Shamil. We're going to put the shield out there because Shamil's health is low. And now we just try and pop the digested individual. There you go. You see, we were able to block all of those buffs from the poison head. So Poison Cloud became ineffective there, which is very important. I don't know if that let me check. Okay, good. That background noise is not getting picked up. Okay. I check for taunt. We go punch. Give me my Acrisia back, please. We're going to decrease speed instead of give the turn meter because I know she's going to cycle her turn back in a bit. Let's get our decreased defense and block buffs back out there. And what head do I no longer want to deal with? Probably the taunt head, because obviously you've seen that it is a little bit scary. I don't want to target this head right now because Pain Link is out. Give myself the turn meter. We have taunt back up. We get the 2-turn. Love you, Molly. It's awesome every time you do that. I do think because of Molly's passive, I'm not sure. I'm going to do an experiment here. Once all these counterattacks stop going on. I'm going to test this. Does this give Molly turn meter? No. Okay. Because Molly has a passive that she gains turn meter when she takes damage, but not from Pain Link. And all I'm trying to do, this is just my mentality. I'm not saying this is an official strategy or anything, but my mentality is I want to get a head dead so that I can take advantage of the 200% damage increase to that head. That's my goal right now, is to kill this head so I can do more damage with my Acrisia. That's basically how I approach it. And this is kind of the gist of my strategy. It is a high risk, high reward. Now, why do I say that? Well, I don't have a lot of healing. Ugo is my only healer. I count on her leech for heals, and I count on her cleanse to heal as well. That's it. That's all I have for healing on this team. I do that because Ugo brings so much to the table with her block buffs and decreased defense. To get similar performance, I would need 2 different champions to fill a role that Ugo does one of. Molly is my taunter and a reviver, which makes it slightly less risky, but doing this without a reviver can be very dangerous. I usually bring Pythion, who is a cleanser, AoE reviver, and a block debuffs. which is very valuable, of course. However, I found that I have better results with this team, to the point of I've done 100 million damage on Brutal before, which is my record that I've done. And in the terms of Hydra Clash, that's 300 million points, because it's triple the points on Brutal difficulty. And like I said, a lot of that is on the backs of Acrizia, really. You know, I'm sure that there are flaws in this team. I'm sure that there are weaknesses in this team, but it's what has worked for me so far. And I don't particularly. My biggest weakness with this team is Molly dying. If Molly dies, I'm in big trouble. We pop the head, and now we just try and do as much damage to this particular head as we can. I don't think I need to... No, I should shield. I should cleanse and shield. I have to keep Molly very healthy. If Molly gets too low and happens to get killed, it's very, very bad. The worst thing... The worst thing that can happen to me in regards to Molly is that she dies when I'm 45 or 30 minutes into a run. Because now the whole run is ruined and I have to start all over. And I don't have a backup plan for that. You could say, well, Ugo could revive her if the whole rest of the team dies. And you're absolutely right. But if you look at the tankiness of my team compared to Ugo, it doesn't happen. Ugo doesn't survive long enough to revive my Molly. So, unfortunately, that never works out in my favor. I have tried to finish runs in those scenarios, but ideally, my goal is 100 million. If I have the time, then I will do it. What often happens to me is I run out of the time to do so, meaning that... I'm going to heal here. Meaning that I do it on a Tuesday night, and I look, and it's like, I'm going to have to take this 60 million damage that I did because I can't do this anymore. I'm out of time. Instead of saying, oh, okay, I'll just start over, and I honestly waste another hour of my time. What I like to do when I'm doing Hydra is I have something on my second screen, some kind of content I want to enjoy, a movie, a TV show, sports, and I can just aimlessly kind of click and do the things that I want to do in here while I'm enjoying that stuff. And it usually works out just fine. I spend about an hour doing it, you know, and then I'm able to help my clan out quite a bit. I'm very proud of that fact. My clan has won. I'm not the only one. There are other people in my clan that help carry us. But me and another member of my clan consistently do over probably almost two. I know he does way more than me as far as points. But recently we've been benefiting from the triple points on Brutal. So I'm hoping that we can get the Head of Mischief out here soon, which sounds crazy because I hate that head. And if I could go a whole run without seeing it, I would be very thankful. The taunt head comes back. That's fine. I don't want to target the taunt head, so we're gonna target the head that's dead. One flaw. In a perfect world, I would build my Shamil much weaker. So, if possible, that you can build a Shamil that does no damage. It's very valuable because the targets that it's hitting will stay alive longer. In fact, I think that's why it's recommended to run War Master on a Shamil, because he won't get as many giant... He'll get a lot of Giant Slayer procs, but you don't want to kill the targets with Shamil, the Fearhead, because when the Fearhead dies, now you don't have that turn meter booster anymore. So you want to keep that head alive. However, I don't have anybody that hits massively hard on here except Acrizia. When Acrizia gets eaten, I need somebody to free Acrizia. The only character that makes sense in this composition is Shamil. Therefore, my Shamil does more damage than is probably recommended for this strategy. But it has worked so far, and it is why I kind of keep him built the way that he is. I should, if that's the case, switch him over to Giant Slayer, but I do have him in War Master. The only reason I want the Head of Mischief to come out, you'll see that his defense is so beaten down from the 10% and the decreased defense and all the other debuffs and stuff that we've been throwing out there, that I'm able to free an eaten head with Acrizia in one hit there. But I want the Head of Mischief to come out simply so I can show you guys how we kind of counter that. But the Head of Mischief is the head that we are most vulnerable to with this composition, and we want that head to die as much as possible. I'm going to see, I think I can kill this head off of Hex. Yeah. They just resisted the Hex? Okay. Hey, we get the Fear head back. That's good news. We love seeing that head. We absolutely love seeing that head. We're going to hit the one that we have broken right now. We're going to do the big AoE hit. That's a great time to do Acrizia's AoE hit because this head is under 75% protection. So we want to hit during that time because now I didn't do any damage to the head that keeps this ball rolling, keeps those all my cooldown, you know, just more turn meter, more turn meter. Give me the turn meter. It would have been wise for me to hit the Fear head there to gain more turn meter out of this, but I'm okay just getting the extra damage in now while I can. I'm not. There's no real reason why I'm picking this one. It just it has the debuff on it, and that's why I'm going with it. It has Leech on it. That's why I chose to go with it. Making sure I keep an eye on the taunt. There's an extra turn from the Relentless gear. Love Relentless gear in Hydra. Let's talk about Relentless gear and why it's so good in Hydra versus other places. So other places, for example, Clan Boss, you may think Relentless would be good. However, Relentless, when it goes off, it gives turn meter to everybody else as well. It's not like a counterattack that doesn't generate turn meter. So why that's important is... He's still taunted. Okay. That's important because here, you can't really build an unkillable team. You can, but getting the consistency out of it because all the different mechanics, different heads, different everything, it changes every week. It's different affinities even, I think. Because of all those factors, it's really hard to build a speed-tuned team in this. But the fights do go on for a very long time. Relentless is great in those scenarios because you keep getting those cooldowns up. And you keep generating the turns of those champions. So, in the case of Acrizia, you'll see I'm constantly throwing out her big AoE damage dealer, which is generating massive amount of points for me. We have good news. I was going to say it's slightly scary, but we have the block buffs on all the champions, or on all the Hydra heads. Obviously not this one. We're going to put our taunt back out. We get the 2-turn taunt. That's great. And so we just kind of keep on going here. I could end the video here. We're almost at an hour, but I really wanted to show you guys the Head of Mischief because it's likely the head that is the most frustrating for you guys. While we're waiting for that head to show her face, I do want to point out that this particular team functions very specifically within what's valuable for my account and and everything. You may not have these champions, and you may want to say, well, what are some suitable substitutes, or what can I do to get around some of these mechanics? Well, Ugo's relatively easy to get. If you are lucky enough to get an Ugo, she will give you a big head start on this fight. Taunt champions are probably the most difficult thing to deal with. One of the big reasons that I struggled to find a good taunt champion for Hydra is because of weak hits. Husk is a great taunt champion that also brings enemy max HP damage. However, he can weak hit, and you need to land a real hit. What I love about Molly's taunt is she does it even when Poison Cloud is up, because it's a places instead of needing to land a hit. I find that to be quite valuable, and why I love Molly for this build. But there are other taunt champions out there that you can use. I know Bivald is a very popular one that would probably be better than Molly in some ways. I think maybe even bringing more damage and things like that. I'm going to shield here to keep Shamil alive. You just need to kind of find out what works for you. But Husk is a valuable option in a lot of cases. Hexing. A lot of champions bring Hex now. It used to be pretty rare, but it's more common now. Outside of Mithrala, Mishinaki is who I use on other areas. We're going to pop this head. He has a lot of turn meter. I can wait to pop him. Now that I know that that's a thing, I can wait to pop him. No pain link out. So we'll get this guy down a little bit. Get the Hex out here. I'm glad I learned that. That's actually going to change my approaches here. When I see them at such high turn meter, let's let him take a turn and then pop him. Especially because he's under taunt right now. The only reason I tend to kill him is because there is the possibility that I get a one-turn taunt and things don't go in my favor. And next thing you know, he cleanses all the debuffs. I was going to say, there's a chance Hex could kill him there. Oh, well, he's going to die here now, but I want to take advantage of this big amount of damage. So it sucks that I did it with such high turn meter, but, you know, I really wanted to take advantage of the AoE hit. I'm going to use that every time it's off cooldown, unless there's a bigger reason at the time not to. We're going to heal here to keep my Molly and Shamil up. That was just getting decreased defense out there. You'll see none of these debuffs are landing on the Poison Head because he's under Poison Cloud. That's the biggest, you know, that's one of the bigger issues here. That's why I'm very anti-Poison Cloud with my block debuffs, but if it gets off, it can be a big problem for my team. See, none of those hit. Which sometimes it's actually really good when Poison Cloud can land on the Fearhead too, because then you don't do any damage to it. You'll see, like, these hits are very, very, very weak compared to his normal hits. And that's just because they're... Oh, wait, these aren't even weak hit. These are still normal. Well, I can't tell. I was going to test it, but I can't test it. We want that head alive. Even at low HP, we want it alive. We'll do the big damage there. Let's try and see if we can get a little extra damage and get a leech out there. No leech. That's okay. Saving the taunt for when the head comes back. Getting turn meter. Taunt head again. This is a really lucky run for me. Which sounds kind of crazy. But it is, because my biggest weakness is the Head of Mischief, and the Head of Mischief has not come out. So that's very, very good for me. We may kill this head off of Hex. I'm waiting. Obviously, I want this head alive, but I also am waiting for its turn meter to go up. I need Molly to taunt here. I'm glad I caught that. I almost was talking and not paying attention. Only a one-turn provoke. This head being alive is important. Unfortunately, it's gonna die. It's gonna die here. We're gonna change our focus now to doing damage to the one that is decapitated, because it's just gonna increase our overall damage count. Alright, I need to get some turn meter here. So we're coming up to a bit of a danger zone. Her getting eaten is actually really, really bad, because I cannot give her the turn meter boost that I currently have saved up here. I have to give that to the rest of the team, though. And try to pop her as quickly as possible. I'm not worried that Molly will get fully eaten, because I'll free her right now. I'm worried that she's not gaining the turn meter I need to put the taunt out. So, on this difficulty, the maximum chest is 29.4 million. So I've already reached the max chest at this point in time. However, because of the concept of Hydra Clash, I don't want to stop there. I want to keep going and going and going for as long as I can. I don't think Molly is going to get... Oh, there's the Head of Mischief. Okay. I am going to cleanse here. And we need to try and burn a head down. We'll do the AoE hit here. Taunt is not up. Nothing I can do about that. The debuffs are all going to get cleansed, but that's okay. There we go. See, all of them get removed. But hey, look, we get to reapply them. So as long as you're kind of thinking things through and planning ahead and kind of saying, okay, I may not be able to taunt that head, we can work around those mechanics. All right. This guy's the lowest, so we're going to try and get the poison head down. Get that decreased speed out there. All right. This is why block buffs is so good. Block buffs stopped poison. Block buffs stopped the poison cloud. It stopped the ally protect and the deflect damage. But if you notice, the Head of Mischief just stole my buffs and did not gain them on the Head of Mischief, which is huge. Because when the Head of Mischief steals those buffs, the Head of Mischief will spread those buffs to the rest of the team. Let's say that that head was not under a block buffs. Well, then they would steal those buffs, but if everyone else was under a block buffs, the head cannot spread them. So it is valuable in a couple of different ways. Because this head is the biggest threat to my team, it is the head I am now going to target. I was waiting until that 75% damage came off. I'm going to keep everybody topped off as best I can. I probably didn't need to use that there, to be honest. Everyone was pretty topped off, but we want to do what we can. And I want to keep, with Hex up, we want to keep doing as much as we can to this head. I may need to think a little strategically here, because Molly is not going to get the taunt up again, I don't believe. I have counterattack on Ugo to try and land more leeches, by the way, to keep the team topped off. We want to bring in that decreased defense. We want the turn meter very badly here, so we're going to use that. AoE attack just for the extra damage. Molly is not ready to taunt. We have Hex on the Head of Mischief. I'm going to try and keep Hex on Head of Mischief, but if it wasn't and I go to attack the Head of Mischief, it could divert the attack to any of these other heads. So even though this head is close to dying, I really want to take the Head of Mischief out and just stop having to worry about that, about the mechanics around that head. I'm hoping... Oh, see? No Hex. It targeted a different head. The taunt is up. It's only a 1 turn, and it is immediately used. So we are in a big danger zone right now for the shield going out. The shield is a big problem because the shield can go on a champion that eats one of... Or onto a Hydra head that eats one of my champions. Hex isn't out. I should have paid attention. You don't want to... Well... You can target this head when Hex is not out, but you don't really want to because it could put your attack on a random head. I thought about killing this head. However, they're at full turn meter. I know that's a factor now, so I'm trying to be more conscious of that. We now have Hex back out. We're going to start focusing down the Head of Mischief. My Lady Kimmy is getting very, very low. We really need some turn meter here. I would love for the Fear Head to be out here. Or just less heads in general, so I take less damage. He may just kill the Poison Head here. Okay. Trying to land a Leech. Didn't get it. Steals buffs from Molly, but it gets blocked. Hex is still out, so we can continue to target this head. He's going to place a shield, but he's going to place it on this head. So I have no other way of dealing with it. I really need a cleanse here soon. This will be a big hit for me. I still want to take this head out, but getting rid of the poison head is valuable for me. Ah, shoot. So the shield one... Oh, good news is... Okay, everything kind of worked out. It's weird. It doesn't look like everything's going good, but it is, because the shielded head did not be the one to digest. Given the current concept of my team, this is kind of what we wanted to do. We needed that HP to keep people topped off. I don't need... Well, I do need to taunt, because he'll get that next turn. So I am going to taunt, because I need those debuffs out there. Big hit, not big enough, because this guy does take less damage. Oh, and the increased defense. We need to have block buffs out now, so we get that out there. So things are a little sketchy. We'll get the revive off here. That steal didn't happen because block debuffs is up. We're going to slow them to try and get more time to pop this head. Alright, this will do it. Boom, boom. We're going to shield because we're quite low. Going to steal those buffs back. Well, not steal them, but take those buffs off, rather. You'll see, because I didn't break the shield, this head healed to full, by the way. So we need to get this head out of here to kind of recover. And that's what we're looking to do. Now, he is going to cleanse here. I don't have taunt up. He cleanses. But we stabilized. If you consider we had someone eaten and someone dead, and now here we are still fighting. I don't want to target the reflect damage. These heads take significantly less damage right now, but look at how low Acrizia just got because of that reflect damage. I don't want to target it. We don't need to taunt right now. This is important to note. I don't need to taunt, so I'm not going to. And now you can see why this particular head is such a threat to my team, because when they're out there, it changes the dynamic drastically and can really impact the overall performance, spreading buffs and doing all kinds of damage to the team. And once that head came out, what looked like a very smooth run became very, very dangerous. Now, we are really long on time, and we've covered pretty much every head that's worth covering. So I think I'm going to stop the video here and then finish the run. I need Lady... Oh, this is bad. I can't do that right now. I want to do it, but the reflect damage is out. So we're just going to hit this guy. Yes, heal. All right. Little baby heal, but it was enough. I need Lady Kimmy to do her turn meter ability. I don't want to taunt just yet. One more turn we would taunt. This is the ability I need. I need to get that reflect damage out of there. Yeah, so he's taking damage and she's taking damage from all of it. We're going to cleanse and shield because we are so low right now. Because of his passive, or because of his A1, he took off the damage there. So we do want to try and... All right, here we go. 2 heads dead. Boom. And now we have fully recovered and stabilized. Because we gained healing off of that, and we got 2 heads off the board that are a threat to the team. Molly stays healthy. That's the most important part. We don't need to taunt again. I'm going to use Molly to do damage to this head because it's under decreased defense and she wasn't a weak affinity to that. But I do want to... I should capitalize on damage while it's out. This head is just such a pest. Oh, okay. Give me a reason. Oh no! He lost his Hex buff! And I don't have a Hexer. Okay. We just have to go with a 25% chance, because this is where things get real dangerous. We just don't have Hex. He ate the Hexer. What I need to do is to just cycle as much. I need Acrizia to get her AoE hit, is what I need to have happen. A Fear Head would be very, very welcome here. We don't have the AoE hit. Oh, big. And an extra turn. Is it AoE hit? Let's go! Alright, we get Mithrala back. We need to heal. We don't have Hex on that head, so we're not going to target it. Taunt does me no good here. We're just trying to get damage now because this is the riskiest my team has looked. I don't know what cooldowns Mithrala has. I needed her shield there really badly. I need the cleanse. Not having that cleanse is going to hurt my team. Possibly get some people killed here. I am going to throw out the decreased defense. Even though it's proccing, giving numbers to this guy, I need to do that there. I was going to stop the video, but it got interesting. If this is too long of a video, please feel free to tune out or turn it off at this point. But Okay. Well, we can get the Hex out. We're at 14. So I'm definitely going to have people die here. As long as it's not Molly, we're okay. I have to go for as much damage as possible here, because this could be the very end of my run. Yep, and there we go. And Molly dies. So that ends the run. Once Molly is dead, I no longer have a taunt, and the whole build falls apart at that point. And I don't have any way of getting Molly back alive, because as you can see, my Mithrala has way more HP than my Ugo, so there's no scenario where they would both survive. And that, my friends, is why this is such a high-risk, high-reward build, because it can go off the rails very, very quickly, as you've just witnessed. I'm going to try and get 2 of these heads down and see if I can survive a little bit longer. And now I have thought about maybe putting Molly in regen or something else, but I need speed on her to keep that taunt going, and I need her to land the taunt. Oh yeah, the Hex got cleansed. Normally, quite honestly, what I do in this scenario, guys, is I put it on auto. And I let it play out. But I do want to squeeze out any little bit of extra damage, because my goal is 100 million damage, which obviously I am not going to hit at this point, because everything has gone to shit. Pop that shield. Keep everybody up. I might look into rebuilding my Mithrala and making her even faster than she currently is. In order to get more of her, to keep her cleanse out there. Because her cleanse not being available is really what did it. The head's gonna get, they're gonna get eaten here. Nothing I can do about it. Yeah. Maybe I could have not done the AoE decreased defense with Ugo, but I don't think that that would have made things last much longer. And there we go. So 68 million. Normally, because I'm talking and explaining a lot of stuff, this took a lot longer than normal. But that's the run. So I'm not going to save this one, and I'm going to try again on Sunday. But I did want to make this video for you guys. So, free regroup. Because I do think I can get better results out of that team. My hard team, I always forget who's in my hard team. It's obviously not them. That's my brutal team. But I know my hard team, I use Pythion. I like to use Mordecai, even though I have better HP burners. His can go through the shield, which can be a problem because I don't have any other good block debuffers. I like to use Vogoth for healing. I use my second Shamil. And Newt and Mishinaki. I usually have Mishinaki in the lead for the increased defense. Now, this one doesn't have taunt outside of Vogoth. My Pythia doesn't heal as well as some other champions. I have in the past, I leveled up Vizix and built her out to use her as a taunt champion. I just can't get her quite to built the way I need for the consistency in taunting. And the Vogoth taunt just isn't reliable enough. Same with Husk. Like any of my taunt champions on this account are flat out not reliable enough for me to say, "Oh, I'm going to use them." What the solution to that can be taunt gear, but I don't really have any champions to put that on. Maybe I put it on Mordecai. One of the problems with Mordecai is that he's the cooldown on his burn is pretty high. So I have him in reflex gear to get that cooldown up more often. But he's my only places. I do have a question if any of you have made it this far. So Tamesia attacks and places that burn. She also brings decrease. I should probably use Tamesia. I just need to build her to be much faster. I have good champions on this account. I just go with the ones that work for me. Well, hey, if you've made it this far, I appreciate it. You're crazy to sit through an hour-and-a-half video about Hydra. I hope I was able to give you guys some insight and information into how I approach Hydra and what I like to do. It has worked for me thus far. My hard team is kind of just thrown together. I do like to use Ultimate Death Knight as well. I have Ultimate Death Knight in a resistance build, and usually he's a good target for the Head of Mischief with high resist. That's a way you can get around the Head of Mischief too. If you don't have block buffs, when the Head of Mischief goes to steal those buffs, if they have high enough resistance, they won't succeed in the steal. You can use Ultimate Death Knight in that way if you build him super slow and just let him generate that, keep those buffs up on him whenever they just keep trying to steal it from Ultimate Death Knight and never succeed. So that is a strategy that can be employed that I've used. There are other champions that you can make. They're always going to target whoever has the most buffs. So self-buffing champions and things like that would work as well. Emic in high resist is a good option as well. I don't have the gear for that, and I'd like to have him in protected because if the Mischief Head steals taunt, game over. So anyways, that's my current team. I know I have better champions in here that I can use to potentially build a better team, maybe. This one works for me, and it makes sense in my brain, and I've had a lot of success with it. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for all the support. I'm so sorry for the long video, but I hope I was able to give you guys insight and answer your questions and show you kind of how I do things. Have a good one. I'll see you in the next video.